Anna had always dreamt of studying abroad. Through scholarships and endless nights of prayer, she finally made it to Seoul, South Korea, a city of lights, technology, and beauty. But Seoul was also a city where she learned the pain of being different. Anna was beautiful in her own way, soft brown skin that glowed like the sunset, big hopeful eyes that carried the warmth of Africa, and a shy smile that could melt hearts. But behind her quietness, she carried an insecurity that haunted her every day, her mouth odor. At Seoul National University, she was the only black student in her class. Her Korean classmates whispered, mocked, and avoided her. She doesn't talk much because she knows how she smells, one girl murmured. Another laughed. How can someone like that study here? She should go back home. Anna pretended not to hear. Every insult was a knife that cut deeper than the last. She spent lonely lunches by herself, hiding behind the library shelves or walking silently by the Han River, where she would whisper her pain to the wind. But one person noticed her silence, not with mockery, but with concern. Professor Chul Min, her literature lecturer, was a man in his mid-30s, calm, intelligent, and deeply kind. He often watched Anna from his desk, wondering why her eyes looked like they carried the whole world's sadness. One afternoon after class, he asked gently, Anna, may I speak to you? Her heart raced. She thought she had done something wrong. When she approached his desk, he said softly, I've read your essays. They are full of emotion, pain, and hope. You write like someone who feels deeply. Why do you hide that heart from the world? Tears filled her eyes. She couldn't answer. Words trembled at her lips. She tried to speak, but stopped afraid. Then she finally whispered, They mock me, sir. They say I smell. I try everything, but it won't stop. So I stopped talking. For a long moment, silence filled the room. Then Chul Min stepped closer. Not too close, just enough to make her feel seen. Anna, he said gently, your scent doesn't define your worth. You are more than what others say. That evening, he took her to a small herbal clinic run by his aunt in Insadong. With warmth and respect, they helped her treat her dental issue. Within weeks, Anna's confidence began to return. But something else began to grow too. Love. Professor Chul found himself thinking about her all the time. The way she smiled shyly when she greeted him. How her eyes sparkled when she laughed. How her words carried the weight of kindness. And Anna, too, began to see the world differently, through the tenderness of his care. One rainy evening, she stood outside the campus library, holding her umbrella, when he appeared beside her. You didn't bring yours? She asked, blushing. He smiled softly. No, I was hoping to share yours. The two walked under the umbrella, their shoulders touching lightly. Raindrops fell around them like music, and Anna felt her heart beat faster. She turned to look at him, and for the first time, she saw something more than kindness in his eyes. She saw love. He stopped walking, looked deeply into her eyes, and said, Anna, from the first day I saw your silence, I wanted to understand your heart. You've taught me that beauty isn't about perfection. It's about courage, grace, and truth. I think I've fallen for you. Her tears mixed with the rain. You love me? She whispered. He nodded. Completely. That night, beneath the Seoul rain, he gently pulled her close. Their first kiss was slow, trembling, full of gratitude and emotion. A promise that love could bloom even from pain. Weeks later, they became inseparable. Anna's laughter filled his once quiet apartment. They cooked together, she taught him Mozambican dishes, and he taught her how to make kimchi. They took evening walks by the Han River, where he would hold her hand and tell her, You changed my world. And for Anna, every morning became a sunrise of hope. She was no longer the girl people mocked. She was the woman loved deeply, completely, and truly. Their love became a story whispered through the halls of the university. A love that began in pain but blossomed into something pure and beautiful. Because Chul didn't fall for her scent, he fell for her soul. After graduation, Anna stood on the grand stage of Seoul National University, her heart pounding beneath the flowing gown. The hall was filled with laughter, applause, and proud parents. Yet among the sea of faces, her eyes searched for only one, Professor Chul Min. He was there, standing quietly at the back of the hall, dressed in a gray suit. His eyes filled with pride and warmth. When their gazes met, Anna felt tears sting her eyes. It wasn't just graduation, it was victory. Victory over pain, over rejection, over all the cruel words that once tore her spirit apart. After the ceremony, when everyone else took pictures with their classmates, Anna found herself running to the quiet corner of the garden behind the hall. He was waiting there, holding a single white rose. "You did it," he said softly. She smiled through tears. "We did it." He brushed a strand of hair from her face. "Anna, you've made me proud. Not just as a lecturer, but as a man who loves you more than he can ever say." She took his hand, her voice trembling. "You were my strength when I couldn't even speak. You saw me when no one else did. You healed me, not just my breath, but my heart." That evening, he took her to the Han River, the same place where their love quietly began. The city lights shimmered on the water like scattered stars. The air was cool, carrying a scent of jasmine and spring. Chul turned to her, his hands trembling slightly as he brought out a small box. When he opened it, a simple silver ring glowed in the moonlight. "Anna," he said softly, his voice filled with emotion, "I know love found us in pain, but I want our future to be filled with peace. Will you be my forever?" Her tears fell freely now. She couldn't even speak at first. Then she nodded, whispering, "Yes, Chul. Yes, I will." He slipped the ring onto her finger, then pulled her into his arms. They stayed that way for a long time, the world fading around them, only the sound of the river and their hearts beating as one. Months later, Anna and Chul moved into a small cozy apartment near the Namsan Tower. It wasn't luxurious, but it was filled with warmth. Every morning, she would wake to the smell of coffee and find him standing by the window, reading, glasses perched low on his nose. She'd sneak up behind him and wrap her arms around his waist. "Professor," she'd whisper playfully, "are you reading love poems again?" He'd smile, turning around to kiss her forehead. "Only the ones that remind me of you." In the evenings, they'd cook together, Anna teaching him Mozambican matapa, and he showing her how to make bibimbap. Their laughter echoed through the little home like a melody of two souls perfectly in tune. But beyond the smiles, there were nights when Anna cried quietly, remembering how her journey began. The insults, the loneliness, the shame. Chul would always be there, sitting beside her, wrapping her in his arms and whispering, "You are enough. You always were." As time passed, their love deepened, no longer fiery and new, but calm and strong, like an ocean that holds both storm and peace. One evening, as the cherry blossoms began to bloom, Anna sat beside Chul at Namsan Park, resting her head on his shoulder. "Do you ever think," she asked softly, "that maybe our love was meant to heal something?" He smiled, looking at her with quiet devotion. "Yes, you healed the loneliness in me I never knew existed. And I think I was meant to remind you that even broken souls can be loved completely." She smiled faintly, tears glimmering in her eyes. "You're my miracle, Chul. And you," he whispered, kissing her forehead, "are my reason to believe in love again." As the petals danced around them, their fingers intertwined, hearts steady and full. Their story wasn't perfect, but it was real, born from pain, grown through healing, and sealed by a love that saw beyond everything the world judged. Anna, once the girl they mocked, had become the woman cherished by a man who saw her soul first. And together, they wrote a new kind of love story, one that smelled not of perfume or roses, but of truth, tenderness, and forever. After a quiet wedding attended by only a few close friends and colleagues, Anna and Chul began a new chapter of their lives, as husband and wife. Their wedding was small, but it was full of soul. Anna wore a simple white lace gown that hugged her slender frame, her hair braided with delicate jasmine flowers. Chul couldn't take his eyes off her from the moment she walked down the aisle. When she smiled, his world stood still. he whispered as he slid the ring onto her finger. "You're the most beautiful thing that's ever happened to me," she replied through tears. "And you're the most beautiful soul that ever loved me." They settled into a quiet home on the outskirts of Seoul, small, bright, and full of laughter. The walls were painted in warm cream, and the air always smelled of fresh coffee, spices, and the faint scent of jasmine that Anna loved. Each morning, Chul would wake before her, make breakfast, and sit by her side as she slowly opened her eyes. He always said, "Good morning, my sunshine from Mozambique," and she'd giggle, pulling the blanket over her face. "You make me shy, Professor." In the evenings, they cooked together, blending cultures on the same plate, Mozambican matapa beside Korean kimchi, spicy piri-piri chicken with rice cakes. Their kitchen became their little world of discovery, where love simmered with every meal. When work was stressful, Anna would sit on Chul's lap, gently massaging his shoulders while whispering, "My love, you carry the world so well. Let me carry you tonight." He would look up at her and smile, melting into her touch. And on weekends, they'd walk hand in hand by the Han River, where everything began. Chul would buy her roasted chestnuts, and they'd watch the sunset in silence, their fingers intertwined. But love, even when pure, came with its own trials. Anna struggled to find a teaching job after graduation. Many schools were hesitant because of her foreign background. There were nights she cried softly, doubting herself again. "I thought I was strong," she whispered one night, sitting by the window. "But sometimes the world still makes me feel small." Chul knelt beside her, taking her hand. "Then I'll make sure you never forget how big your heart truly is." With his encouragement, Anna began volunteering to teach English and Portuguese to immigrant children in Seoul. The kids adored her. Her warmth, her patience, her gentle laugh. All of it became the sunshine they needed. Slowly, her light spread again. 2 years later, Anna discovered she was pregnant. The moment she told Chul, his eyes filled with tears. He knelt before her, placing his hands gently on her belly. "Our baby, part of you, part of me," he whispered. "The world's most beautiful creation." Her pregnancy brought joy, laughter, and endless late-night cravings. Chul would run out at midnight just to get her mangoes or seaweed soup, joking, "Our baby already has mixed taste." When their daughter was born, she had Anna's warm brown skin and Chul's almond-shaped eyes. They named her Mina, meaning beautiful gem. From the moment he held her, Chul whispered, "She's the proof that love can build worlds." Anna smiled weakly from the hospital bed. "She's the fragrance of our love, sweet and real." Their little apartment grew livelier with Mina's laughter. Chul sang her lullabies in Korean, while Anna told her bedtime stories in Portuguese and Makua. She grew up hearing 2 languages, 2 cultures, and one endless melody of love. Sometimes, Anna would look at her husband and their daughter playing on the floor, Chul pretending to be a bear, Mina giggling uncontrollably, and her eyes would fill with tears. She would whisper to herself, "I was once the girl they mocked. Now I am the woman I love beyond words." Chul would notice her quiet tears, rise, and wrap his arms around her from behind. "You're thinking again, aren't you?" he'd say softly. She'd smile, resting her head on his chest. "Just thanking God for you, for this life." He'd kiss her forehead. "And I'm thanking fate for giving me the courage to love you." Years later, Anna became a respected multicultural educator in Seoul, helping children from all over the world adapt and thrive. Her story, once one of pain and shame, became an inspiration. She even gave a TED Talk titled "Love Beyond Odour," the power of seeing beyond imperfection. As she spoke, Chul sat in the front row with Mina, smiling proudly, tears glistening in his eyes. When Anna ended her speech, she looked directly at him and said, "True love isn't found in perfection. It's found when someone sees your weakness and chooses to love you harder." The audience stood to their feet, applauding. And Chul knew, just as he had from the very beginning, that he hadn't just healed her. She had healed him too. Their love only deepened with time. Marriage didn't dull their passion. It refined it, turning every ordinary moment into a quiet symphony of affection. Every evening in their cozy soul apartment, Anna would wait for Chul to come home. She'd light candles, play soft music, sometimes a Mozambican ballad, sometimes a Korean love song, and set the table with care. When he entered, exhausted from work, his eyes would always soften at the sight of her. "You still wait for me like this?" he'd whisper, stepping closer. She'd smile, brushing her hand along his jawline. "Always. I fall in love with you the moment I hear your footsteps." He would wrap his arms around her waist, his breath warm against her neck, whispering, "Then let's fall together again, my love." They'd eat slowly, talking about their days, laughing between bites. But dinner always ended the same way, with Chul pulling her close on the couch, kissing her gently, their laughter fading into whispers and sighs as the night wrapped them in warmth. Every morning, Anna would wake up in his embrace, her head resting on his chest, his heartbeat a soft rhythm that made her feel safe. She'd trace little circles on his skin and whisper, "I love this sound. It's the music that keeps me alive." And he'd chuckle sleepily, kissing the top of her head. "Then I'll never let it stop." Their romance wasn't loud. It was intimate, full of quiet gestures. When they walked down the street, he would always slip his fingers through hers. When Anna was reading, he'd sit beside her, resting his chin on her shoulder, just to feel her warmth. Sometimes, she'd come behind him while he graded papers and hug him tightly. He'd pause, smile, and whisper, "You know you distract me, right?" She'd giggle softly, "That's the point." At night, they'd dance barefoot in the living room. Anna would hum softly, her voice low and sweet, while Chul held her close, his hand resting at the small of her back. Their movements were slow, tender, like two souls swaying to a song only they could hear. And when she looked into his eyes, she always saw the same thing she saw years ago under the rain. A man who loved her completely, without hesitation. One night, while watching the city lights from their balcony, Anna leaned into him and said, "Do you ever get tired of loving me?" Chul smiled faintly, brushing a kiss on her temple. "Loving you isn't something I do. It's something I am." She turned to him, eyes glistening. "You make me feel beautiful, even when I doubt myself." He held her face gently. "That's because beauty isn't in the mirror, Anna. It's in the way your heart beats when you love." She kissed him then, slowly, deeply, letting her emotions pour through every breath. The city faded around them, the stars blurred, and for a moment, the whole world disappeared except for their heartbeat. Years passed, yet their romance never faded. Every anniversary, Chul still brought her white roses, the same kind he gave her on her graduation day. "White for purity," he'd say softly, "because your heart is still the purest thing I know." And Anna still wrote him little love notes, tucked into his coat pocket, slipped under his pillow, or left beside his morning coffee. Each one began with the same words, "To my forever professor." Their love was no longer just passion, it was a deep spiritual connection. A love that healed, inspired, and endured. One quiet night, as they lay together watching the rain fall against the window, Anna whispered, "Do you remember the first day you spoke to me?" Chul smiled. "Of course. You were so shy. I never knew that day would change my life forever." She smiled, resting her head on his chest. "You didn't just change my life, Chul. You gave it meaning." He kissed her forehead and murmured, "And you gave mine light." The rain kept falling softly, washing away every memory of pain, leaving only love. The same love that began in tears and grew into a lifetime of devotion. Years rolled by like soft waves, yet Anna and Chul's love never lost its glow. It only deepened, matured, and turned into something timeless. After many busy years in Seoul, they decided to travel, just the two of them, to celebrate 10 years of love. Chul had secretly planned everything, from the flight to Mozambique to a surprise Anna never imagined. When the plane landed in Maputo, Anna's eyes filled with tears. "You brought me home," she whispered. Chul smiled, squeezing her hand. "I wanted to see the place that made you, the place that taught my love how to be strong." They walked the golden beaches of Mozambique, barefoot, the sea wind wrapping around them like a blessing. Anna showed him the places she grew up, the mango trees she used to climb, the dusty roads that carried her childhood laughter, and the church where she first learned to pray. One evening, as the sun sank into the ocean, Chul took her to the very shore where she used to sit as a girl. The waves shimmered with gold, and he knelt before her, holding a small velvet box. She gasped, "Chul, what are you doing?" He smiled softly, "Renewing my promise." Inside was a new ring, simple but elegant, engraved with the words, "You are my peace," he said, his voice trembling. 10 years ago, I fell in love with the girl who carried pain in her eyes but courage in her soul. Today, I love the woman who turned every scar into beauty. Will you marry me again, Anna? Tears spilled down her cheeks as she nodded, unable to speak. He slid the ring on her finger and kissed her hand, whispering, "My forever begins again, right here." They sealed the moment with a kiss under the crimson sunset, the waves clapping like applause, the air filled with the salt of the sea and the sweetness of love reborn. When they returned to Seoul, life slowed down. Mina, their daughter, had grown into a bright young woman preparing for college. Their home was quieter, but not empty. It was filled with peace, memories, and laughter. Anna and Chul spent more time together, taking walks, visiting art galleries, watching sunsets from their balcony. Sometimes Anna would rest her head on his shoulder and whisper, "Do you think love can live forever?" He'd smile and answer, "Ours already has." They'd dance in the living room just like before, her hair streaked with silver now, his once black hair turning soft gray. But when their eyes met, it was as if time had never touched them. Chul still made her tea every morning just the way she liked it, with a touch of honey and lemon. Anna still kissed him goodbye at the door, even if he was only stepping out for groceries. And at night, when she couldn't sleep, he would hum softly, old Korean lullabies that had once soothed their baby girl and now soothed her heart. Their love had become like a river, steady, gentle, and endlessly flowing. On their 20th anniversary, Anna surprised Chul with a letter. She placed it on his pillow, sealed with a kiss mark. When he opened it, her handwriting danced softly across the paper. "To my dearest Chul, you once told me that love isn't about perfection. It's about seeing beauty in the broken. You did that for me. You turned my shame into light, my silence into song. If I could live this life again, I'd still choose you, even if I had to start from the pain. Because loving you made every wound worth it. Forever yours, Anna." When he finished reading, Chul went to her, tears filling his eyes. He didn't say a word. He simply held her close, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "Then I'll keep loving you until time stops." That night, under the soft Seoul rain, they stood by the window, watching lightning dance far away. Anna rested her head on his chest, her fingers tracing his heartbeat. Still strong, still hers. And as the rain whispered against the glass, she smiled. "Do you hear that?" "What?" he asked. "The sound of forever." He kissed her gently and murmured, "Then let's never stop listening." And so they didn't. Their love, born in pain, strengthened in faith, and sealed by time, continued to bloom through every season of their lives. Even as years turned into decades, Anna and Chul never stopped being lovers, never stopped choosing each other, over and over again. Because their story wasn't just about romance. It was about two souls who found beauty in imperfection, hope in weakness, and eternity in one simple truth. After years of nurturing their love and raising their daughter, Anna and Chul began to turn their shared passion and values into a legacy that would outlast them. Their love had given them strength, and now they wanted to give strength to others. Anna, with her experience of being an outsider and overcoming prejudice, wanted to create opportunities for young international students like herself. With Chul's support and resources, they founded the Anna and Chul Foundation for Global Education. The mission was simple but profound: provide scholarships, mentorship, and cultural exchange programs for students from Africa and other underrepresented regions to study in South Korea. Chul handled the strategy and funding, while Anna personally mentored students, helping them navigate life in a foreign country. Many of these students reminded her of herself, shy, insecure, yet filled with untapped potential. She became a mother figure, a mentor, and a source of inspiration. The foundation grew rapidly. Within a few years, they were able to sponsor hundreds of students to attend universities in Seoul, helping them settle into dorms, learn Korean, and integrate culturally. Host annual cultural festivals, showcasing African and Asian arts, music, and cuisine to build bridges between communities. Establish mentorship programs, pairing students with professionals in various industries. Chul often remarked, "We're not just building schools or scholarships. We're building courage, confidence, and dreams." Anna smiled, thinking about how far she had come. She used to walk silently along the Han River, her heart heavy with shame. Now she stood on stages, teaching, mentoring, and changing lives. Their home became a hub for ideas and compassion. Mina, their daughter, grew up witnessing the power of giving. She followed in her mother's footsteps, volunteering at the foundation, tutoring students, and learning to speak multiple languages. Anna and Chul taught her that true legacy isn't wealth. It's the lives you touch and the hearts you inspire. Even within the family, their love set a foundation. Chul and Anna ensured that Mina grew up feeling seen, heard, and loved, free from the insecurities Anna had once endured. Every evening, they would sit together, planning future initiatives, dreaming bigger dreams, and celebrating every success, no matter how small. As the years passed, their work began to receive recognition. Universities and organizations awarded Anna for her contributions to multicultural education. Chul's leadership in the foundation and his successful corporate ventures earned him admiration as a man who combined intelligence, compassion, and love. But to them, the greatest recognition wasn't awards. It was the students whose lives were transformed, the parents whose children had a chance at education, and the community they had strengthened together. Through it all, their romance never faded. Late at night, when the house was quiet and the city lights twinkled, Chul would still hold Anna close. "You know," he'd whisper, "our love built more than just a home. It built hope for hundreds of lives." Anna smiled, resting her head on his chest. "And it all started with one moment of seeing me for who I really am." Their home, their foundation, their love, they were all intertwined. A legacy of compassion, courage, and devotion that would continue to inspire generations. Even as they grew older, traveling less and staying closer to home, the warmth of their love radiated outward, through their students, their family, and the world they had touched. Years passed, and Anna and Chul's love had become not just a personal story but a beacon for others. Their foundation, once a small initiative to help international students, had grown into a global movement, impacting thousands of lives. Mina, their daughter, had grown into a confident, compassionate young woman, inspired by the example of her parents. She had inherited Anna's warmth and Chul's determination. Watching her mother mentor students and her father build bridges between cultures, she understood the power of combining love with action. "Mom, Dad," she said one evening, sitting in their study filled with letters from students and scholars around the world, "I want to help expand the foundation to Africa and eventually other continents. I want to continue what you started." Anna smiled, her eyes shimmering with pride. "That's exactly why we built this, Mina, to make sure love and opportunity never stop flowing." Chul added, "And we'll be here to guide you every step of the way. But this is your time to take the torch." Mina's heart swelled with purpose. It wasn't just ambition, it was legacy. Under Mina's leadership, with Anna and Chul as mentors, the foundation launched new initiatives, scholarships and mentorship programs across Africa, providing students not only education but life skills and emotional support. Cultural exchange residencies, allowing students from Seoul to experience African communities and African students to experience Korea, fostering understanding and global collaboration. Women's empowerment programs, inspired by Anna's own journey, focused on giving young women the confidence and skills to pursue careers and leadership roles. Anna's speeches became more global, addressing conferences from Seoul to Johannesburg, sharing her story of resilience and love, demonstrating how overcoming personal struggles can ignite world-changing work. Chul continued to handle strategy, fundraising, and international partnerships, traveling often but always returning home to Anna, where their love remained the foundation of everything. Even with their busy schedules, Anna and Chul never let go of each other. Every evening, they would walk together, sometimes in quiet reflection, sometimes laughing about past memories. The day Chul first kissed her under the Seoul rain, the night they danced barefoot in their living room, the moments that reminded them that love had built the life they were now using to build hope for others. One night, as they watched Mina speak to a room full of students, Chul whispered to Anna, "Do you see? This is more than we ever dreamed." Anna squeezed his hand. "It started with love, and now it's shaping the future. We're living proof that love can create a legacy." By now, the Anna and Chul Foundation was renowned worldwide. Universities, governments, and NGOs reached out to partners, inspired by the story of a Mozambican girl and a Korean lecturer who had turned personal struggle into a mission for global good. But Anna and Chul never sought fame. Their joy came from seeing students thrive, from witnessing young women and men embrace opportunities they had once only dreamed of, and from the quiet moments, hand in hand, when they knew that all they had built started with their unwavering love. Years later, when Anna and Chul were sitting in their garden, watching Mina mentor a group of students under the shade of a jacaranda tree, Anna reflected, "I never imagined life would lead here, from a girl mocked for her weakness to building a legacy that touches thousands." Chul smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "And to think it all started with one moment of courage and one act of love. That's the power of us, of our love." Mina ran over laughing, "Mom, Dad, come see. The students just finished presenting their project on cross-cultural education. You'd be proud." Anna and Chul exchanged a look filled with joy and pride, knowing their work and their love had planted seeds that would continue to grow long after they were gone. Their lives had become a story of romance, resilience, and purpose. Love that healed, love that flourished, and love that built a foundation strong enough to shape generations. Anna and Chul's legacy was not measured in wealth, accolades, or fame. It was measured in lives transformed, hearts healed, and a love so enduring it had become the cornerstone of a better world. Years of love, dedication, and shared dreams had brought Anna and Chul to a life far beyond what either could have imagined. From the shy Mozambican girl once mocked for her difference to a woman admired and loved deeply, Anna had grown into a symbol of courage and grace. Chul, the quiet Korean lecturer who first saw her soul, had become her partner in love, life, and purpose. Their romance never faded. It matured like fine wine, seasoned by shared struggles, quiet joys, and unwavering devotion. Every glance, every touch, every whispered word between them was a testament to a love that had begun in pain but flourished into something extraordinary. Together, they built more than a home, they built a legacy. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment. Also like, share, and subscribe to my channel and click on the notification icon so that you will get notified whenever a new story is uploaded.